Hi guys, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I've got an update here. I did cover this before when I was telling you that Hedera was a finalist, and we actually have an update on this. I said I'd keep an eye on it, and I have some great news. So here's the post. Hedera has been awarded the Tokenization and Market Infrastructure Award, recognizing real-world impact shaping blockchain. So this was from the International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, who were doing awards. And it says here, Hedera makes it easy to tokenize real-world and digital assets. Liquid, fractional, transparent, with predictable low fees, EVM compatibility, and fast finality. Well done to other winners and finalists. Well, there you have it guys. Hedera won the award. And look, I've said this before. At the end of the day, you might think, it's just an award, whatever. This is credibility. This is certification, right? This is when you get, for example, the Clarity Act coming through and institutions are looking for what networks to develop on. This is where they can come through and say, hey, we actually won an award for being, the best tokenization of market infrastructure. Like, we actually won an award for this. So this is something that, an organization really actually looked into, tested with other networks, and we were the ones that came out on top. It's big. It's very big. And I've said this before. When it comes to marketing, right, there's obviously different ways you can market. People do ads and things like that. You can go around door to door knocking and that kind of thing. You can let people test the network, doing trials and things like that. There's nothing that ever beats word of mouth when it comes to marketing. Word of mouth is actually the number one marketing tool for any product, any company, whatever, right? And the reason being is because when it comes to word of mouth, it's organic, right? It's someone who's tried the network themselves, really liked it, or whatever, like product, whatever. They've really liked it, and then they've gone around singing its praises to other people, right? So, for example, with Hedera, they could say, hey, I really tried Hedera the other day because, I needed to try and do some tokenization or whatever, needed to do whatever I needed to do for that network. And it was such a great network. It was so easy. It was so fast. It was so cheap. I actually knew what the fees were in dollars. So I wasn't worrying about the token and whether it was, going to be high or low about the price and that kind of thing. There was no congestion issues or anything like that. It was just very straightforward. This is the kind of thing that when other people hear that or companies hear that, they'll be like, oh, okay, that sounds good. Maybe we'll give that a go then at some point, because that sounds like the kind of thing that we could do with using, right? That sounds really promising and really beneficial. This is the kind of thing for me when it comes to, a network. You can't beat this type of promotion. I don't think so personally. I think this is the best type of growth because you've got people who are not necessarily, working with Hedera or anything like that. And so that this is something that's been done fair, right? There's been no kind of there's going to be no favoritism or anything like that. This is going to be a thing where they've tried out the networks and whatever, and Hedera's just come out on top. So for me, I think this is a big stamp of approval, and I think long term this could really go a long way. So I'm really, really happy to see this. Like, obviously I didn't know if they was going to win or not, but I did say I'd keep an eye on this, and yeah, it looks like they've won it. So while this might be something that a lot of people want to brush off, to me, this is what adds credibility to the network. And this is what could bring a lot more institutions over to the network over time, and there could be more awards that start to grow. Like, this is still the early stages. So this is one company. So you've got here the International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications. There could be other companies that do awards and stuff like that as well. And Hedera could win way more awards, for other things as well, not just necessarily tokenization. But when you're talking about, tokenization now as a use case, could this bring a lot more companies and institutions to want to use this network? I would think so, right? Like, if we just take an example here, right? Completely different example. Actors. When an actor wins, for example, like a Grammy, right? A Grammy is considered like a really prestigious award. So if an actor manages to get nominated for a Grammy and actually win a Grammy, you do know that means afterwards they can actually charge more money because they've won such a prestigious award that it basically kind of solidifies them as an actor it shows that they're like very well considered as a, you know, they've done a really good, you know, film or whatever, a really good performance. And so they can then later charge way more for their films, right? Because they can be considered, you know, a high quality top tier actor. So obviously in this regard, Hedera are not going to charge more, but it could just bring more people to want to use the network because it could be classed as a top tier network for this type of use case, right? It could be, okay, so when it comes to tokenization, Hedera was the #1 choice here, won the award, so let's go with that network. Let's try that, because if it's gone through, you know, a series of other networks, competed against them and won, clearly this was the #1 choice. So that would be the one that we'll go for. So it just shows you right there, right? It just shows you right there what this could do. This could open many doors for Hedera. So don't just look at this as just a simple, you know, it's just an award. No, look at what this could open the door for Hedera. This could really be something that over the long term brings a lot of value to the network, a lot of companies, a lot of institutions, a lot of people, you know? So I think this is big. I think this is absolutely massive. So congratulations to Hedera. We already know about the tech, so, you know, it's not that surprising in that regard. We know that Hedera is a top tier network. We just know that from what we've seen and what I've covered. But it's good to see again its recognition. You know, it's really nice to see that. So real positive thing here that I wanted to share with you guys. And as I say, I do think long term this is going to have a positive impact overall. So definitely something that we could look at over time. And this could be something that we could really build on in terms of, you know, the adoption that comes to Hedera. So really great stuff here. All right, I'll leave it there. If you did like this video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe so you can be updated for future HBAR content. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can be alerted on when I do drop a new video. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll see you all on the next one.